Fam, good morning. What's going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Please give me a roll tide inside the comment box. Today we're talking about the fact that Alabama is number 19. Yes, 19 in the latest ESPN Power Rankings. We're going to talk about secondary concerns that I have right now. We're going to look at quarterback Jalen Milroe's play in the SEC. We're going to look at the right side of the offensive line, and we're going to dive into Alabama running back Jam Miller in SEC play. How's everybody doing today? I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for being a part of my Wednesday show. Today is October 23rd. I hope you're off to an amazing start. And I hope that it looks like we're a little bit delayed on here. My camera, it looks like there's a little bit of a delay. We'll work through it. I appreciate you guys. I'm not sure why that is happening, but we will move past it. Give me 1 second. This looks strange. 1 second. Do a pause real fast. Usually I can figure out things on the fly. Today I can't. This is going to be even strange for me because there's a little bit of delay. We're already moved past it. So let's, right? Doesn't it look like, I don't know why it's, why there's a delay. It's driving me crazy. All right. All right. Alabama right now is ranked number 19 in the latest ESPN Power Poll. We'll just work through it. We got to work through it, right? Got to work through the adversity. I appreciate you guys being here. All right, they are number 6 in the SEC in regards to where they're at in the ESPN ranking. So literally behind Texas A&M. That's where Alabama is right now at this point in time. And it's interesting to see kind of Alabama not only ranked number 19, but to see them back at number 6. But let's kind of look at a couple things. One thing that stood out to me is for the first time they have 2 losses before 2007, which I found was really interesting. I mean, clearly you guys know, I've been covering here since 2017, so this is something that I haven't seen before. I think even 2006, that's before Coach Saban, right? So first time 2 losses in the SEC before that point in time. They still do have a 44% chance to make the college football playoff. So, and we talked about some of the scenarios right now, and honestly, you know what it is. It's basically just say, really, it says we have connectivity issues? Huh. I didn't see that on my side. But we know that Alabama just has to win out, right? Like, that is what Alabama has to do. They just have to win out. The remaining schedule, Missouri, at LSU. Following Missouri, you have an open week, and then LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma on the road, and then you have the Auburn Tigers as well. And, we talked about, will this team be able to have a bounce back, right? Will this team be able to get back on track? And, listening to the players yesterday, Jameer and Latham, it says, back is against the wall. They already know that. Basically, it's like they know that every single season coming in because they know they're going to get the best game from every single team that they play. All right. Audio's fine. You guys just cover up the side. I know it might look like one of those old, karate films where it's a little bit delayed. I'll get it. This happened to me one time early on the season. I don't know why it happens from time to time. I'll get through it. It's okay. I'm facing a little adversity, I guess, this morning. So let's kind of bounce through it. I appreciate you guys being here, though. The Alabama injury report, tonight we'll get our first look at the SEC student media availability. And we do know that right now, Keon Sabb, he's out. And Coach Kalen DeBoer said it will be for an extended amount of time, right? We don't have an update on Devontae Smith, Xavier Brown. We know that Daniel Hill and Caden Jones, those guys were out with undisclosed injuries. And Devontae Smith and Xavier Brown, I would imagine that those aren't significant. I would imagine that those guys are back in action against Missouri. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you want to support the players and any of the gear, like I have a Jalen Milroe hoodie. This is my Ryan Williams one. And you can get these at Athlete's Thread. So literally I went to Athlete's Thread and just typed in Ryan Williams. I saw this hoodie, had to cop it, I love it. And yeah, it's really one of my favorite hoodies. So we talked about kind of the secondary concerns, and that's where I'm going to lead off with. Look, I want to talk about the facts, and I think we all understand that there is concerns with the Alabama secondary. Right now, we know Keon Sabb is out. We don't know about Devontae Smith. He was in street clothes. I would imagine he's back for this weekend's game, as I said. So here's a look at the Alabama safeties. And as we spoke about yesterday, and it's one of the bigger storylines right now when you look to Alabama Crimson Tide football news, is that Bray Hubbard will be starting in place of Keon Sabb. This season, he has 20 tackles, 6'2", out of Mississippi. He's been targeted 5 times, and he's allowed 4 receptions. We'll kind of dive more into that. On a scale of 1 to 10, rather, 1 to 10, and I asked you about this yesterday, how concerned are you about the Alabama secondary? Like 10 being the most. I to be honest, it's an area that certainly gives me anxiety. And we knew this going into the season. Like, we knew that they were going to be young, right? I mean, shoot, look at Xavier Brown right here. He's a freshman. We knew that there'd be kind of a learning curve because a lot of these guys haven't played together. And the thing is, I don't think that the secondary, I'm real. Like, I think this is the secondary that we are going to have the rest of the year. And I've explained why. Like, these are the players that we have. And, you know, hopefully it gets better next year. But, like, right now, this is the way it is. And the good thing, that one of the things that I've learned is the quarterbacks that Alabama's faced and the rest of the quarterbacks in college football, they can't hit the deep ball. They can't. We've seen it for 7 consecutive weeks. Every once in a while, they like hit on a deep ball like 1 of 10. Jalen Milroe's deep ball, I mean, besides that Tennessee game, is usually on point. But the rest of the college quarterbacks, they cannot hit a deep ball to save their lives. And that's what's helping Alabama right now is the fact that these quarterbacks, I mean, every once in a while they'll get up a big play overall, but for the most part, these guys cannot hit a deep ball. Here's the grades and coverage this year for the Alabama secondary. You got Western Kentucky 87.4, South Florida 75.2. Overall, their season grade and coverage is 68.2. All right, 62. Jeff, 100%. I think that's the only quarterback. Him and, you know, maybe a couple others. But even Brady Cook, he struggles as well. We talked about that. I have some graphics to back that information up. But, yeah, I would imagine that Grant can. This is the chart that I worked on this morning. This is very important. So let me start on the left, and then I'll work my way to the right. So in coverage, over 100 snaps. Now, a lot of these guys on the left have been regular starters. Here is their coverage grade. Malachi Moore, 84.5. Devontae Smith, 71.0. Damani Jackson, 64.0. Xavier Brown, 59.1. Red Morgan, 57.2. Keon Sabb, 63.5. So you get a better grade in a grade that makes more sense when a player has played over 100 snaps. The players on the right, their grades might be higher, but they haven't played 100 snaps. So what I did for these players is I showed how many times they have been targeted and how many receptions they've allowed. So right now you see Jalen Mbakwe, who I would like to see even play some safety at some point in time. Maybe not this year, but maybe that could be an experiment. I think he's athletic enough to do so. He has 12 targets right now and 8 receptions. You have Bray Hubbard, who has 5 targets and 4 receptions, so he'll get the start this week at the safety position in place of Keon Sabb. You have Deshaun Jones, who has 10 targets and 5 receptions, and then you have King Mack, who has 4 targets and 3 receptions. So a lot of these guys that you're seeing right here on the right, they're young. They'll get opportunities as we move forward. They've allowed some receptions in the times that they've played. So here we are. And Bray Hubbard right now, you know, the thing I like about Bray Hubbard, and you'll probably see more graphics on the screen today than me because we're having some sort of a delay. So it looks like one of those old karate videos. Even for me, it's weird to see because I see myself when I'm talking and I'm like delayed. But I think for Bray Hubbard, one of the things that I do know about him is he's also a really big hitter. So, and I think the secondary, like, I really haven't seen any big booming hits from the secondary this year. I think Bray Hubbard adds that element. Now, how is he going to fare in an entire game? Well, we'll see. Here you go. Right? So you have Bray Hubbard stepping up in a big position for Keon Sabb. And to be honest, look, Keon Sabb, the guy, I guess, according to Greg McElroy, played with like a broken foot for 30 plays against Tennessee, which is gritty. I mean, that says a lot about him. It says warrior mentality. But he made a really good play on the right side of the field, breaking up a pass. But to be honest, he kind of felt that Keon Sabb wasn't playing his best football overall. Even since the beginning of the season, it seems like he was more kind of trending in the opposite direction. Just my take. And I kind of look at the grades and they back up that. All right. We talk about Jalen Milroe this season. We talked about him yesterday, but here is Jalen in SEC play. At the beginning of the season, his stats are completely different than the last 4 games that he's played in. So right now, talking about Jalen Milroe in SEC play, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for being here today on the show. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd. One of the stats that stands out is up at the top, right? 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Now, we've talked about this a few times. Some of the interceptions that Jalen Milroe had early on in the season, I didn't feel that they were necessarily on Jalen Milroe. They were like tip passes. They hit receivers' hands or a tight end's hands, and they bounced into somebody else. The last 2 games and the 4 interceptions that Jalen has thrown, they've been a direct result of bad decision-making from Jalen Milroe, right? You agree with that? You look at what he did against South Carolina. You look at what he did against Tennessee. The 2 interceptions that he threw to Tennessee, I think we can all agree that he shouldn't have thrown that pass to Ryan inside the red zone. And then the final interception on the last drive, right? So those are some items that certainly jump out when I look to the overall stat line in SEC play. I look at the last 2 games as well. Maybe he just has some sort of this is a 2-game slump, and you can work your way out of it. We've seen this before with players of all different positions. Last 2 games, only 62% passing percentage, which is not common for Jalen, that we've seen. The first half, even through that Georgia game, really stellar play, to be honest. Last 3 games as well, another stat that stands out to me, and a lot of this is equated to the last stat line that I have, but only 57 yards rushing, and he has a lot of attempts, right? He's usually the player that has the most rushing attempts on the team. And as I mentioned, we've seen him force, passes in the last 2 games, which we really hadn't seen up to that point in time. Yesterday we talked about the fact that, and it was brought up earlier on Monday, is Jalen Milroe injured? Is something, happening with him? Someone who brought this to my attention, that someone saw that twist Jalen's leg against South Carolina. I can't remember that play, but somebody said that it might be some sort of a twisted leg. Again, Coach Kalen DeBoer didn't really even say if it was injured or if he was injured or not. He just said that at this point in time, people are banged up. This was also interesting. So after the Georgia game, he was a plus 175 odds-on favorite to win the Heisman. Remember this? People were talking about he was going to be the first-round draft pick talk was heavy, and rightfully so after the Georgia game. Man, you play like that again. It was incredible. The way he played against Georgia is incredible. And now he's at plus 4,000. So huge difference in, after Georgia to now. I have no idea what happened. We've tried to dissect that a bunch of different ways. I have a theory, which is coming up next. So stay with me next, because I honestly think, and I know I'm coming in like an old school karate movie, but I honestly think that something's going on. I think that it's a slump with Jalen, and I really think that the next graphic I'm about to show you has something to do with the performance. Okay, so I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for being here today on the show. All right, he's been sacked 9 times in the last 3 games. Right, Deuce Wild is saying that rat poison got to him. Yeah, a lot of people, we've been talking about all sorts of different ways. I don't know. I think a lot has to do with the next thing that I'm gonna show you up. 9 times in the last 3 games. Okay, it's kind of almost like not as bad as last year. But, last year was sacked, 44 times? Check this out, okay? I spent time putting this together. And what I wanted to showcase in this particular graphic is the pass blocking grades of the right side of the offensive line. So what you're looking at with the yellow background in the black text is the Pro Football Focus passing grades of the starters this season. So the starters at the left tackle position, all right, let's look at the left first. Caden Proctor, left tackle, 86.6. Tyler Booker, pass blocking grade, 82.7. The center position, 80.6. Right? Look at this. This is where things get saucy. Jaden Roberts, 56.4. And then Elijah Pritchett, 45.9. We saw a little bit of Wilcom Formby recently too. Man, this is but you know what's interesting though? Todd, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. While I think the right side has been a problem for a long time, and I've been pointing this out, if you did your rewatch, you know what's crazy is Jalen Milroe, I'm just talking Tennessee, he had a lot of clean pockets. That's what makes this interesting to see, because I do feel that he had clean pockets to work with against Tennessee. So then I started diving into, so then I was like, well, what does this look like from a run blocking perspective? So, because, we've been talking about Alabama's offensive line. How do they run, blah, blah, blah. And here we are right here with the run blocking grades. All of these are pretty low. And because I think we've all been harping about run the ball, this and that. Well, maybe they just can't run the ball. But I go back to the Tennessee game again. There was the one drive out of halftime where they ran the ball 6 times. They moved the football downfield and they scored a touchdown. Which leads me to my next point. It says Jan Miller. All right, so I spent some time with this graphic. So let me explain this, okay? Let's just keep with the red text and the red line. Okay, so what we have here is, this is Jan Miller's run direction from Pro Football Focus. So I didn't change anything with the run blocking grade. So up at the left tackle, that's Caden Proctor's run blocking grade. At the tight end, that's C.J. Dupree, his run blocking grade as well, okay? And then you have Jan Miller in the direction that he's been running the football and where he's been successful. So when Jan Miller runs the football to the outside right, that's outside of the tight end to the right side of the field, he's rushed for 16 carries for 202 yards with an average of 12.6. I actually like all of these averages, to be honest. I really do. Despite the low run blocking grades, I like these averages. Up the middle of the field, 8 carries for 44 yards and 5.5, right? And to the outside left, 5 for 51 with a 10.2 average. So, it just really haven't been, and maybe that's not part of the game plan, because even going into this season, I was thinking the running backs would get fed. I don't think that the running backs are getting fed this year. I think there's been times, and I was excited to see them play early on in the season. Here's a look at Jan Miller this year. And I put those marks, the X's, against games that stand out to me in terms of the carries. I guess you could even mark against Western Kentucky. He only had 5 carries in that game. But let's just start at the top. Against Tennessee, 12 carries, 44. That still seems too low. I mean, even if, Jalen Milroe is somehow hurt, I mean, and I get it. I think Jam twisted his ankle or whatever. I think he's going to be fine. But this just seems low for a running back like Jan Miller. And I think we could all agree right now, Jan Miller is absolutely running back number 1. A lot of people have actually been critical of Justice Haynes in his play. But Jam Miller, if he's running back number one, here's how running back number one is being utilized in Alabama's offensive scheme. 12 for 42, the exact same. That's interesting against Tennessee and South Carolina. And then against Vandy and against Georgia, only 5 carries in each of those games. Wow, which is also the same. Sammy is talking about Justice. Yeah, we could look up the same, detail for Justice Haynes. It wouldn't take us that long. Kyle Burge saying that Josh Pate thinks that Milroe is hurt. I mean, he's the most connected guy to Alabama football out of anybody in the media. So I would, he probably heard something. I mean, even Coach Kalen DeBoer didn't really go away from the fact that Jalen Milroe, isn't 100% healthy. I think he would have straight up said that. Michael's saying that Milroe's confidence is down. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I mean, after a game like that, I would imagine the confidence is down. And, I think that's why going into this game against Missouri, it could be a great opportunity for a bounce back. That's why I labeled this as an opportunity. Yeah, JS Webb, I know we're having video production, issues. When you do, hours and hours of video, you run into issues with video, you run into issues with audio, you run into issues with internet. Today, we are going through some sort of weird delay. These sort of things used to really bother me when I was younger, but you just have to move past them. This won't be obviously how this show will be forever. I will fix it just like I fix everything else, but we will just move through. So just listen to my voice. But I'm well aware of the delay. So thank you very much for pointing it out. And I think that's why I labeled it as a huge game, right? I think if you're able to dig out of this, and Jalen Milroe has, honestly, this could be a huge turning point. Yeah, I got you, JS. It's all good. I think this could be a huge turning point for Alabama. I really do. We all know that their chances of making the playoffs are really low. We all know that their back is against the wall. But what we do know is that, you win this game, you take one step forward. Because right now, the controllables are to win the game this week. And then you're open, right? So you win this game. If you win this game by whatever it is, you go in with momentum. And then that LSU game is gigantic. Specifically, if let's see. So LSU and Texas A&M, each of those teams are undefeated. So one has to lose, right? If it's LSU and they lose, then you beat LSU and you continue to climb the SEC ladder. That game is going to be huge against LSU, but you can't look to that game. I mean, we can as fans, but you got to win this coming weekend. Here's a look at Jalen's Pro Football Focus grades over the last couple games. Yeah, KTK, I saw that this morning. People talking about Kane Womack being linked to the Southern Miss. I think right now people are just, I think we're at this point with Southern Miss. I think people are just throwing names right now in the early hot board list, and Kane's name has been mentioned to go to Southern Miss. I think Alabama fans would be elated if he left, but I think that it's right now, it's probably just smoke. But you got to win out. I mean, I'll go to, before we do this, here's a look at some SEC football from a glance, okay? So that's why I'm saying that game against LSU, if you beat Missouri, it becomes gigantic. You got to think Georgia wins out unless they slip up somehow against Ole Miss or against Tennessee. Texas, I mean, hard to see them losing another game. I don't know. And then there's A&M right there, too. So you just got to keep winning. Teams are going to drop. It doesn't really even matter, if they reach the SEC championship. I think reaching the SEC championship is just another gauntlet that you have to jump in. Now, of course, getting there and winning would punch your ticket into the playoffs. But even if Alabama finishes 10-2 on the season with the win over Georgia, if Georgia keeps winning, I think Alabama's opportunity to make the playoffs is great. So here's a look at the SEC schedule this weekend. You got Oklahoma taking on Ole Miss. Take Ole Miss in that one. Arkansas beat Mississippi State. Missouri and Bama. Bama favored by 14. Texas and Vanderbilt. That's an interesting one. These guys can punch. And these guys hit hard. And these guys are fighting. These guys are like the Clubber Lang of the SEC right now. Texas A&M. Let me ask you this. Who wins this game, Texas A&M or LSU? Post L for LSU, post T for Texas A&M. Looks like Texas A&M favored by 2.5. Who wins this game? This is a tough game. Roll Tide Patty, what's up? Roll Tide Patty is saying Texas A&M. Nate H is saying LSU. Kyle saying Texas A&M. Most people talking Texas A&M. And I kind of, you know what? Give me LSU. Give me LSU early on. I feel that LSU is playing their best football right now. I think they're able to go. Of course, it's a challenging environment, right? I think they're able to win. At night, man, that stadium is going to be crazy. We already talked about some of these silly playoff rankings or predictions. I don't like any of this, but here's just kind of a snapshot. Everybody's talking playoff predictions and rankings, so I put one together just to kind of show you what it could look like. So I got Georgia number 1. And I did this based off like the teams that I think will win the conference. So, for example, I don't know who to put, BYU or Iowa State. So I just threw this together. I think Clemson wins the ACC. Call me crazy. Some of these matchups would be awesome. I've seen some playoffs have Alabama as an 11. If they went like 10-2, then you go to Austin, play Texas. So who knows? I mean, still a lot of football left. I think the official college football rankings drop here in a couple weeks. Oh, and I agree. Grant Nussmeier, he's doing really well. He's turned out to be a pretty good quarterback. Aaron Anderson for them is really good too. Going back to this Alabama and Missouri game and kind of talking about the quarterback play going against Alabama secondary, here's a look at Brady Cook. Brady Cook, the thing I want to bring up again is this guy was hurt last week. So much so he went in, got a CT scan, bounced back up, came back to lead Missouri over Auburn, who continued to lose in the fourth quarter. Absolutely crazy. See what I'm saying? Like, even his deep ball right here, it's not that impressive. 3 of 11, 20 yards downfield, 2 of 12, 3 of 9. Like, that's not elite at all. 7 of 13 to the outside left, 14 of 23, 4 of 10. So, I mean, look, underneath 10 yards, super accurate. So in terms of like the slants across the middle, the crossing patterns underneath, that's where you're going to see most of the production. Here's a look at how Brady Cook has fared this season. Last week was 11 of 22, didn't throw a touchdown. He was sacked 4 times. Yo, he's also been sacked. Look at this. He's been sacked, 9? He's been sacked 13 times in SEC play. Bring your pass rush. You can clearly get to him. And he threw the football 37 times against Auburn or against Vanderbilt. They should, you know what? Vanderbilt's kicker came out and missed a field goal to send that into another overtime. I bet you Vanderbilt feels they should have won that game. Kyle's like, he's going to look like Tom Brady. Maybe so. I mean, Lenora Sellers and Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, those guys, threw for over, 70%. Pavia was he 80? Here's a look at Jalen Milroe over the last couple games. I asked this yesterday. Let's see if it's changed, the pulse. You think that Jalen Milroe throws the ball more or less than 25 times? More or less than 25 times against Missouri. I'm going to say, based on these stats, I think right now I'm definitely going to say more. More or less than 25 times for Jalen Milroe passing the football. Myron is saying more. Redfish Stalker saying 30 plus. Bentley Boy saying more. Max Tooney saying less. No, I mean, we've talked about, maybe a different quarterback starting for Alabama and why that could be, somewhat of a change and maybe catapult Alabama. But, even I said that. I was thinking kind of more like for a reset for the offense. But it's also, if he can play himself out and they win this game and he turns the page, there's two things. It doesn't take long for Alabama to lose momentum as a team, but it doesn't take them long either to gain momentum. If Alabama beats Missouri handedly, then you get a lot of momentum back. Jalen Milroe scores 4 touchdowns or whatever, you're back on track. You have another week to rest up, heal up, and then you go and you beat LSU. You're right back in the fold, right? You have that momentum that you need to finish out the back end of the season. He comes out again, and you know what? I mentioned this before. When I was looking at the Pro Football Focus statistics, you can see who Alabama was specifically targeting. It was this one cornerback for Tennessee. They targeted him like 9 times. So I get it. 45 times throwing the football, 20 of them to Ryan Williams. Yeah, that's much, but they were clearly targeting one specific corner. So you talk about matchups that I think had something to do with it. But clearly they're not going to go with a different quarterback. And most of the people that I've talked to have said continue to roll with Milroe. So, that's kind of where we stand. We talked about Nick Sheridan. We talked about Alabama's defense. And this is the thing. I always kind of look at the season kind of in 3 different parts. Is like the first kind of opening games and then this first round against the SEC. And this clearly is a dip. That's why I don't even think like the Southern Miss want this. I think Kane Womack's still trying to find his own groove here in Tuscaloosa. And I think since him and Kane and Kalen are so tight, I think he's gonna be here for another year or so. Yeah, B Wood, the video and audio is out of sync today. I don't know why. Something happened. Yesterday, actually, I was gonna go live in the evening time, and I had to like do some like stuff with my computer, and I had to restart stuff, and yeah, that's why it's out of sync today. But we're just working through it. So I'm gonna fix it, as best. This happened to me at the beginning of the season. I worked out of it, so I'll figure out what's going on and get back to it. All right, I'm gonna take some calls. When you call into the show, please remember there's probably somebody behind you that wants to call in as well. I'll say it one more time. We're going through like an audio video out of sync. So you'll probably see me just post up graphics rather than see me on a delayed screen. So you'll probably see like this, but you hear my voice. Let's go. We have a 256 waiting online. And like I said, call line is open, 205-850-1994. Let's take that call, 256. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
This is Daryl from Huntsville.
Hey, what's up, Coach? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining, man. Take it away.
Kyle, I was last time I called in. I think Mike called in behind me and gave me some criticism as a doomsayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say this: been an Alabama fan a long time. Seen some great times, seen some not so great times.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, you can't call it how you want it to be. You got to call it how you see it.
Mm.
And I've been saying from the Western Kentucky game to the Tennessee game, the offensive line is trash. We cannot move anybody off the ball. We're at the 3-yard line. We got to throw 3 passes after I've got to throw 2 times because we can't even gain a yard from the 3-yard line in. The running backs are not getting the carries. You know why they're not getting carries? Because the coaching staff doesn't have faith in the offensive line. They see everything going on at practice. I mean, you practice every day. You know what's going on if you're honest. And coaches that are honest and evaluate what we got, we already see this is not a strength, this is a weakness. We only run 2 running plays. We run the read, the zone read, and then we pull a guard. That's it. When we get inside the 10-yard line, Tennessee was ready for, good coaching, good scouting. They were ready for the quarterback power run. They shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, we just must be honest. We don't have the talent. Could they develop? Yes. Is some of it coaching? Yes. Because I'll tell you what really disappointed me was actually I almost said that Coach DeBoer had no clue what was going on. You got a 2nd and 20, and you throw a 2-yard pass to make it and lose 2 yards to make it 2nd and 3rd and 24. Right then and there, the game was over with. So DeBoer has to look at himself and be honest with himself. Have I really done a good job? Have I put people in positions to win and players in position to win? Is my staff? Maybe we need to reevaluate the staff because again, they're making the guy we had last year, the offensive coordinator. They're making him look like a NFL coordinator. And we all complained about last year's offense. I take last year's offense right now, what we're doing now. And then we have to face. I said this, and again, I'm a realist. I see things as they are. I said before the start of the season, Milroe had to improve his mid-range passing. If he didn't improve that, he was going to be in trouble. And what has happened? The ball was all over the place. The ball was high. The ball was low. The ball was behind people. The ball was not placed where you could get it. He can't throw anybody open. If you're not open, he can't throw you open. He can't wait to anticipate and see a window to throw the ball to. Those are just facts. Now, I know some people going to get mad, but at the end of the day, if you jump off the roof 9 times, how many times you going to hit the ground? Okay, that's what I thought. Unless something done changed. So I'm frustrated, and I'll be honest with you. I don't understand how Alabama was a favorite in the Tennessee game. How were we favored? Why? And the same thing with Missouri. I would be shocked, Kyle, and I hate to say this. I'm trying to figure out a game that Alabama can win in their remaining schedule, other than School for the Blind that they play toward the end of the season. I'm trying to see who can they beat, because I have seen no improvements. And again, if we had any, this shows the level of quarterbacks in the SEC is down this year. We had any type of we made South Carolina's quarterback look like Peyton Manning. South Carolina. I mean, he was tearing us apart. And the same thing, we've had people run by people all season long, and nobody's been able to hit anybody. Well, guess what? Before it's all said and done, we're going to finally see these quarterbacks are going to start making some of these throws and hit these open receivers. So I'm an Alabama man to the day I die. But as again, I don't see things as I wanted to be. I see things as they are, and we're in trouble. Kyle, it's always my pleasure. Let somebody else get on.
All right, man. Take it easy. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you calling in. All right, next up, we got an 856. Hey, good morning to you. Thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, or where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Rob from Jersey.
Hey, Robbie, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining. Good morning to you, and thanks for joining the show.
Hey, thanks. First and foremost, man, giving honor to God. You do a great job, man. I really enjoy your show, man. A lot of great insight. What I'm calling about today is the last caller. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinions. I do believe they have the talent. People have to understand that at the end of the day, this is new, not just for the players, but for the coaches. This is all new. All right, this is all new. I really would like the Alabama nation, Alabama fans, to really understand, hey, ride with these guys. It'll be all right. Something's gonna click. These guys, I got faith that they're gonna be all right. I really do. You can't be fickle. Don't be the fickle fans. Don't be the ones to say 1 minute is good, everybody's all ha ha rah rah, and then the next minute something go bad and you're killing them. You say you Bama till you die. Well, be that. But I think the fact that a lot of things people don't understand is, I don't know if you saw it, Kyle. Did you see when Milroe's father got into a little dispute with someone in the stands at Tennessee? Did you see that footage yet? Yeah, stuff like that, man. And I told him, I said, man, when I see him again, when I see him, I'm gonna let him know, man. Listen, don't ever feed into that. You know, I know it's your son. I love Milroe. I think Milroe's a good quarterback. I think Milroe is doing well. I think maybe he has injury, maybe he doesn't. It's not my, I don't know it. I'm not in the physician's office and stuff like that. I don't know that. But at the end of the day, he's a good quarterback. The kids, he does good things for us. And when he was doing good things, no one had anything to say. No one had the criticism or anything. But the guy, give him a shot, man. He may be hurt, but guess what? He's putting his heart out there. He's putting everything on the line out there. Just like Keon said, playing with a broken foot. I could speak on these things because my nephew also plays for Alabama. All right? My nephew plays for Alabama. And I know the conversations that go on. Stick with these guys. Ride with them. If we're going to be Alabama till we die, let's be that. At the end of the day, I told my nephew just last night when I talked to him, I said, listen, at the end of the day, the conversation I would have with you young guys is everybody do your job. Yeah. That's the things I know for a fact that Saban used to tell. That was one of his main things he used to always say to these guys. Do your job. The little things that you see are the biggest things. If you see the bigger things all the time, you don't see nothing. And people that understand football lingo, they know just what I mean by that. Stick with these guys. Ride with them. And at the end of the day, if you, like I said, the Alabama fans are complaining about this, complaining about that. Listen, you're spoiled. Let's just be honest. Alabama fans are spoiled. Okay, I get that. Ride with these dudes, man. Ride with them. They don't need to go through what they're going through and then have the people that's supposed to have their backs kicking their backs in. They don't need that. You think they don't hear the things that people are saying? You don't hear, they hear the echoes. I know it's easy for some people to say, oh, you got to block out the noise. Come on, man. This is Alabama. It's on every news outlet, everybody's call shows. These young guys hear that stuff. They really do. And I told my nephew point blank, man, listen, you do your job, do what you're supposed to do, be the leader. You guys are going to definitely right this ship. And I still believe they got it's not over. They have a great chance to still make this playoffs. It's not over. For callers to say stuff like, oh, well, they're done, I don't see who they could beat. Well, you know what? Do me a favor. Don't watch no more games this season and definitely don't call in. I understand you're frustrated, but come on, man, ride with us, dog. You know what I'm saying? You say you bleed Bama till you die. Do that, man. My nephew is Jahad Campbell, by the way. So listen, man, at the end of the day, I'm riding with Bama, and I'm from Jersey. Okay, my cousin Anthony Averett played with you guys before, so I've been riding with Bama for quite some time, all right? So, hey, man, Kyle, like I said, man, You have a great show. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And my nephew really likes you, man. So
I appreciate it, man.
You keep on doing what you're doing, brother.
All right, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, take it easy, man. Have a good day.
All right, brother.
All right. Good call from up in New Jersey. We got a 910 and a 706. If you're just joining us, I'm on like some sort of a video delay. Something, I have no idea what's happening. I'll try to fix it after. It happened to me a while ago, so don't be alarmed if I come in, if I'm like one of those old school shows or whatever. But what's weird is I see myself doing it, so it kind of throws me off. But I'm working, so that's why I probably have most of the graphic up when I'm talking today. So don't be alarmed. We'll get through it. At the end of the day, it's the internet. Who knows? All right, 910. Hey, thank you very much for calling in. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, what's up, Kyle? It's Christian from California.
Hey, Christian, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in. Come with it, man.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just, just looking back on the season so far and, where Alabama is and just kind of looking. I mean, look, we're ranked number 15. Okay, we got 2 losses, give or take. I don't think we should have lost either one, but we didn't play up to our standard. Regardless of the fact, man, Alabama's young, okay? They're young. Like, you just saw King Mack playing for the first time this week because we're down in that secondary. So he got to step in. He got to play. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We're playing true freshman corners, okay, true freshman wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's beat up, okay? So if Alabama can go into Tuscaloosa like we're supposed to be, go in here, take care of Missouri, okay, go against whoever we go against next, the FCS team, and then go on a nice little bye week, prepare for LSU, I think we'll be okay. I know a lot of people are over here and they're mad at Jalen Milroe. And don't get me wrong, he hasn't played his best football in the past couple of weeks. I'm not even going to front on that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were really expecting Alabama to be full gear or full speed ahead, and they're 5-2, we expect Alabama to be firing on all cylinders right now. That would be a problem, and still be 5-2. Even if we were 7-0, I would not want Alabama to be firing on all cylinders right now, because the way that the college football is set up is going to be the team who is hot late.
Yeah,
that is going to be the team that most likely wins the college football playoffs. It's just too long. So the problems with Alabama, yes, it's going to be growing pains. Yes, it's coaching, and some of it is, players not executing the right way. Some of it's carelessness, not paying attention to detail. But I'd rather have all of that right now, about to go into our second bye week, so we can start cleaning that stuff up. Okay? So when we do go against LSU, when we do go against Oklahoma and Auburn, we're prepared for those teams. Okay? What we need to do right now as fans is just support our team. And I know it's hard when we're losing games that we don't normally lose, especially under Nick Saban. But this ain't Nick Saban no more. This is Kalen DeBoer's team, and he's starting to realize you can't be all buddy-buddy with these guys no more. You got to get on their ass, per se. So just by him, in his interviews and things like that, saying, hey, we're taking this approach. They're doing things one by one so they can kind of get these boys back on track. Our secondary is depleted, as you can tell. Like, Dwayne Jackson getting hurt, Keon Sabbs playing with a broken foot. You see, so we got a lot of freshmen playing in a lot of areas that they got to grow. Devontae Smith has been getting hurt. So we got to get these guys reps. So, yeah, we're going to give up yards. They're going to get beat sometimes. But by the end of the season, they shouldn't be freshmen no more. They should be going into that sophomore year like, hey, you know what? I got a lot of reps under my belt. So when we start getting to the playoffs, we'll be all right. All Alabama got to do is win out. We fix that offensive line, that right side. We got to figure out what they're doing. Hopefully we can get to the bye week and figure out, hey, this is what we got to do. This is who we need to move here. Running backs, we got to give them more opportunities. Coaching they have to come up with better play calls for our running backs, better play calls for our quarterback, try to make sure he doesn't continue to digress, because, I personally don't think he's healthy. I know he's not helping himself out with his reads, but he's definitely not healthy. And defensively, we just got to get these guys reps. I think for the most part of that Tennessee game, they were in the right spot. besides maybe one or two plays in that first half where, Nico kind of overthrew some receivers. But for the most part, I think we're all right. I think Alabama just got to stay focused, stay with it, keep grinding, and I think they'll be okay. And us as fans, we can't be nitpicking about every little thing, man. Like, it's really embarrassing if you really think about it, because quarterback has one run game. Oh, give Ty Simpson a shot. Oh, give Austin Mack a shot.
Mm-hmm.
No, stick with the guy that y'all had for Heisman. Oh, I'm a believer. We'll be a believer.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, when one thing goes wrong, you can't be like, oh, we'll get him out, or fire coach Kalen DeBoer. It don't work that way. You got to have patience. This is more of a rebuilding year than it was last year, because we're working with brand new pieces at the head coach, offense coordinator, and defense coordinator. Ain't none of these guys coached in the SEC before. So I'm telling you right now, it's a learning curve for them. It's a learning curve for our players. It's a learning curve for everybody. So that's kind of all I had to say about that. I just think it would be bad on our part, or selfish on our part, to try to run a coach out in his first season when he ain't never coached in the SEC before, and we only lost 2 games.
Mm.
I understand Alabama's championship or bust, but we still have a 50% chance of getting to the college football playoffs. That's like right now. If we went out, it's gonna go up even higher. And I prefer not to play in the SEC championship anyways.
Yeah,
so we can be rested for next week.
That's what a lot of people have been talking about. Anyways, man, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for the positivity, and I hope you have a good day, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right, we got a 706 lined up next. Hey, what's going on? You on the line with Kyle Henderson? Yeah. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Chad from Georgia. I just want to kind of piggyback off what he was saying, as far as our coaching staff goes. Mm-hmm. Kirby Smart went 8-5 his first year at Georgia. Steve Sarkisian went 5-7 his, first year at Texas.
Wow.
And, once they got their recruiting class, got the players in to fit their scheme, they look at them now. I mean, look how strong they are now.
Mm-hmm.
When Nick Saban left, we lost 26 players. Mm-hmm. And Nick Saban lost 2 games with the full roster. So I think Kalen DeBoer's doing a pretty good job to only have lost 2 games now, mm-hmm. with half the roster gone. I just feel like, kind of piggybacking off what he said, we need to be more patient, give him time. Mm-hmm. He had 2 or maybe 3 recruiting classes at Washington and was playing in the national championship game. So just imagine what he can do here with the SEC talent if we're patient and give him time. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to bother y'all much more. That's all I really had to say.
All right.
I appreciate you letting me call in.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate you. All right, Chad calling in from Georgia. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Interesting. I think also too, it's like I kind of go back to like what Coach Saban was saying just recently, talking about that Bama fans aren't patient. I think that's kind of like playing into a lot of our emotions right now. I mean, I think if you go back and like read receipts following like what a lot of us said probably after the Tennessee game, a lot of it's like an emotional reaction. But I think you're starting to see like kind of the rational side of us start to come through as we get closer to another weekend of football. And what always helps is if you do zoom out and you do look at facts, like Chad brought up some of the opposing, coaches who are now in a really good spot in their opening year with the program. And I also think to compound on that is the fact that everything has changed in terms of the transfer portal, which is going to make the teams more evenly matched going forward. So like I was reading through our Facebook comments this morning, Alabama Crimson Tide on YouTube. No, our YouTube, I'll show our Facebook channel. It's called Alabama Crimson Tide on YouTube, but I get it. It's on Facebook. And someone was like, oh, Vandy, like the Vanderbilt, like that's not the same Vanderbilt. Like but a lot of people still don't understand that. Right? Like that's a whole different, they should change the name. It's not the same Vanderbilt. All right. Looks like we got a 2-5. All right. Call line's open, by the way. 205-850-1994. I'll be on here for a little bit. And I know there's some sort of a delay going on, so I apologize for that. I'll fix it when I can. Prior for the next show. That's something that I'll work on as soon as I get off here. We're also available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. You just type in Bama Football on YouTube. If you're on the go or whatever, I'd appreciate you guys subscribing there too. Here's a look at the SEC right now going into this weekend of play. You got Texas A&M up at the top and LSU, which is awesome because each of those two teams play each other this week. I asked you earlier, I'm going with LSU. Yeah, I know it's on the road. I feel that LSU is playing some really good football right now. So is Georgia, right? Kirby Smart's been able to get those guys to get dialed in. And you know what a lot of that was? It was the way that Coach Kirby Smart coached those guys after the loss to Alabama. He's just such a great coach. You know, he's like, I challenge you guys to advance from this loss. He didn't look at it like, because you really didn't win anything from that game. You didn't necessarily lose a lot from that game. And it's kind of that bounce back mentality, right? And there's Alabama at the bottom behind Vanderbilt, Texas, Missouri, who they play this weekend. So a lot of movement within the SEC. And then at the bottom, you have Auburn and Mississippi State. Even like, look at Kentucky. Man, they played some tight games. This is the Bama haters on. You'll like this. This is my updated top 10. Let me ask everyone inside the comment box. And look, like, not because Bama haters here. He's a Miami fan. But honestly, like, let me ask you, who do you feel is the better team right now, Clemson or Miami? Like, honestly, we've seen a lot of Miami play recently. Their quarterback is unbelievable. So type C for Clemson and type M for Miami. I think Clemson's playing better football, but Miami's certainly tough to beat. The quarterback play, late game ability there. I mean, they're winning games. Their last three have been, oh, man, my quarterback on fantasy football, Aaron Rodgers, he's listed to questionable. He'll be good to go. Miami, okay, so we got Miami, Clemson, got a couple Clemson. It'd probably be like number 9, too high. See, Max, that's why I get into with my top 10. I got Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State. I'm not buying Penn State. Got LSU in there. Got Tennessee. I even feel weird kind of almost putting Tennessee there. And I noticed on like the ESPN Power Rankings, they don't have Tennessee within their top 10 either. I just don't feel like they don't have the offense that I want within the top 10. Lynn is saying that LSU will win this weekend and may win out. Yeah, he's a great quarterback for sure. He's been doing a really good job. They've really improved since that first loss of the season. Nicole is saying Clemson is better than Miami. What's up, Nicole? Appreciate you being here. Cam W is saying Clemson as well. So, see, a lot of Clemson. And I don't think that's like anything because of Miami. I just think that some of those last-second wins, I think they're going to catch up with you. Even the game against Missouri or against Louisville was back and forth, right? And same thing, Cam, I feel the same way, man. Notre Dame, I think they're sus. So, that Lance, I always go back to that game. That was crazy how it ended. Hey, and Robert Mahan, what's up, man? I like that profile. San Francisco 49ers, that's what's up. Although, if you play for the 49ers, what's crazy, you have like a 80% to make the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, but you have like 100% chance to like suffer a career-ending injury. Think about all the injuries the Niners have had. Even the rookie quarterback, he got shot. He's back, which is a crazy, crazy story. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me today. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd. Thank you very much for talking Alabama football with me. Do I think they'll win out? You know, right now I want to say no because I'm worried about that game against LSU. I really am. But I'm trying just to focus in on this game against Missouri. And I think when I do look to the particulars between Alabama and Missouri, like home field will certainly matter this weekend. And I know you would probably like the game to be in the evening time, but this is a big game for a lot of different reasons. You come in here, Jalen plays a better game, the team gets back on track, you get momentum for it. So I'm not necessarily looking at like the wider scope. I'm just like, for me personally, I'm just looking at like beat Missouri. And I think Missouri will be very challenging. I think that they have a really good defense, and I think the quarterback, I mean, clearly he showed he's a gamer by going to the hospital and coming back in. So I think they will be a formidable opponent, and I like their coach. I've talked about their coach a bunch of different times. So big opportunity for Alabama to get back on track right here. Jason say, run the ball. Remember run the ball? When they had the hats that said run the ball. I know I'm on delay right now, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me. This is a one-man operation, so there's times that we go through different things. It's not a big deal. Just appreciate you guys calling in and talking about the content with me. If you see any videos that are uploaded from us, be sure and comment on those videos, and I appreciate you guys so much for being here today on Bama Football on YouTube. I wish you guys the best rest of your day. If you're around at 4 p.m. Central Time, I'm live on Bleacher Report. Just type in Bleacher Report, Alabama football. It's mostly like some cut-ups from this show. I might do like the state of the program, which we already talked about on this show. So everything that you see from my social media starts here and then filters out. But have an amazing day. Enjoy this beautiful thing we call life. Be good people, and I'll catch up with you next time right here on Bama Football on YouTube. From Hollywood, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football.